Hey everybody, welcome to South Olympic Branch Update number 9D2. So I wanted to use a piece of plastic like I've done before to create a road to come from the overpass here and sit on top of that. The needed a curve. Grab the lid from the crock pot for the curvature, and just whatever household item that happens to have a big enough radius that looks good. And I think that'll work pretty good. Now I just need to cut this out. Okay, so I want the road to kind of blend with the backdrop more. So there's two things I'm going to do, I think. One is I'm going to put another curve at the end of this. And two, I need to trim out the middle of it a little bit so it kind of conforms to the backdrop a little bit more. Okay, more crockpot lid curvature, so I'm going to take just a little bit off there and we'll see what that looks like up against the backdrop. Okay, so we're sort of skipping ahead here. Painted the road, painted the base color on most of the hill, and filled in with some plaster back there, some sculpt mold. Still got some work to do on this. I need to get back there and do something with that pink foam square that's back there. Maybe I'll paint it gray, call it concrete, I don't know. And then I got to thinking tonight as I was looking at a piece of foam, I thought, hey, I think that might fit along the edge down here and give me a slope right there. And I've been tinkering with that for probably the last, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, maybe 40 minutes, I don't know. You know, when you're modeling and you're just kind of in that creative zone, that time can just fly. Anyway, so I've used the road striping pen before, but yesterday I found that I had a colored pencil, and I thought, I wonder how that will look on the road. And actually, I like that quite a bit. So I almost wish I had a white pencil so I could go over that line with it. But again, you know, this is going to be behind some pretty thick scenery. So with the idea that the road is more of a suggestion than, you know, something that stands out. More work with the hot foam knife, and I've got a pretty good inlay for that side of the creek. I had some scrap foam and I cut that to fit around the that one pier, and I think that once I've got some filler material around that, I think I'm going to trim this back a little bit. I think it's going to look pretty darn good, as the creek won't be very high, because this layout's theme is kind of a midsummer thing. So anyway, I'm also working on where the center support for the bridge goes. The piece on the bottom is just there to help me figure out where I want to drill some holes in the layout, and I'm going to put some screws up through the bottom to make sure that bridge support stays right where I want it when I'm working around it. After I got back from Canada at the convention where I'd won the Ultimation sander, I ordered the Ultimation Slicer. And because I've been thinking about replacing the chopper that I had, and I haven't really had occasion to use this. I've been kind of playing with it a little bit, but this time, today, because I'm working on the bridge, I actually was able to use this, and it's really nice that the blade really does a nice job on this I-beam. I mean, when I try to cut it with another knife, it really tends to either leave it dog-eared or doesn't cut it straight through. And that does a pretty darn nice job on the piece. If I did want to put anything other than a 90-degree angle on this, I could use these, I could loosen these two pieces up and rotate it. It also comes with this slider for a stop that has quite a bit of adjustment in it. So that makes it easy to repeat. Laying in some static grass patches from Hickey on here. And it's Hickey wild grass, I think that's what they call that. Yeah, wild grass. Anyway, but trying not to permanently plant any trees. I mean, all those are temporary over here. Until I figure out what I'm gonna do with the backdrop. Because I either need to replace it because I cut that hole too big over there, or I don't know, or suck it up and live with the hole over there. I don't know. Anyway, that's where I am right now on that. So I'm looking for some kind of ground cover here to kind of give this stuff some texture. And I need a different color than the yellow grass or the earth that Woodland Scenics makes. The earth is too brown and the yellow is too yellow. So I think I'm gonna go stare at the internets for a few minutes to see if I can find something else. So the other day I was reminded that I had ordered a Broadway Limited GP35 that was a patched Great Northern, the BN number on it. And I was reminded of this because, well, I got a shipment notification. Yep, so anyway, I knew I'd ordered it, it was on my list, and I knew it was coming this year, but didn't realize exactly when. Anyway, so it got here today, and oh, white box, interesting. That seems new. Have I had a Broadway Limited shipped in a white box before? I don't remember that. I don't remember that I have. Not that it's a big deal. It's just, you know. Anyway, let's get this thing out of the way. We'll open up this box and take a look at this thing really quick. These guys still do a paper manual. And I guess I kind of appreciate that. I mean, you can download the manuals for the, you know, in the PDF form and all that, but I don't know. It's weird because I'm a tech guy, but doing having a paper manual sometimes seems better to me for this kind of stuff. Anyway, so plastic shell, hard to see much there. I'm going to turn the camera around and put it on. I probably said this before, but sometimes I've got to clean up this mess. Clean up this place, you know. All right. So, outer shell, it's kind of the same old thing. Kind of the plastic thing that almost all the manufacturers are using now. Except for this one seems to have side panels, which is interesting. Now, the Empire Builder scheme has never been my all-out favorite, but I saw this low-nose GP35, and I saw that Broadway Limited was making it with a already patched with a BN number, and I thought that looked pretty cool. So I'm packing all the boatload of foam. Okay. put some stuff aside and put it on the track and try it out. Okay, track's on, power's on. Let's unmute. Let's unmute this thing. Woo, loud. There goes the cab lights as it starts to move. There's the front lights. Turn the bell back off. It's interesting to me just how bright the cab lights are. And the class lights on this model just turn on and off, whereas some of the others out there from Scale Trains and Rapido will change colors. I don't know if the Great Northern had different colors on their class lights, but I'm not really all that concerned about that. I do like to have them work, and I think that's cool. There's no track inspection lights on this model either, but I do find that the model runs well and the detail is pretty nice. It's a good idea to give new locomotives some break-in time, so I'm just letting it run around the layout by itself. Continuing to add scenery to the hill over here, I've used some of the Hecky floor here, which I really like. This, this stuff comes in a kind of a sheet, and but it also, a lot of it falls off in the package, and I initially thought, well, that's kind of a waste, but actually it's not, because I'm able to just glue it down like I do with the ground foam, and it is kind of handy. And then there's the sheet, and I've kind of stretched this one out. It looks pretty thin, but when you put it on the layout, it covers well. But in addition to that, I'm also using some Woodland Scenics Underbrush Forest Blend over here. You can see how they're a little shade. They're not quite the same color, but it's fairly close. And then I'm using more of that over here. And it's likely that will continue right up and at least partially under the bridge. And I'm debating as to whether I'm going to put another set of supports underneath there. That is a pretty long span. It doesn't need it model-wise, but it might look better if I did it just for the scene. Okay, we're just going to do some demo running around here, I think. Whoops, I got to go the other direction. There we go. So I need to set the switch to bring the train out to the front here. So I'm going to choose Martin. I think everything's already set. Call it Martin because it comes from the turnout for the for Martin and Sons there. And that lines everything from there to, I guess you'd call it the industrial spur, maybe? I don't know. I should probably ask, see what people think I should term this one that's closest to the camera. But suffice to say, when that's triggered, it lines all the turnouts all the way back, so the one can bring the train out here. Okay, now we're going to stop. One of these days I'm going to cut down the momentum in this locomotive. I don't know about you guys, but I find it's hard to operate with a locomotive that has significant amounts of momentum. And since unlike a real railroader, I'm not paid to do this for a living, I want it to be a little bit easier. Ha ha ha. Sorry, Greg. One of my friends, whose name happens to be Greg, is an engineer, so there you have it. Anyway, our point is we should go all the way down without derailing, because it should have lined all the turnouts all the way out there to the inner main. And darn it, that don't look pretty good. Okay, now I need to stop again. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna line for the siding here. There we go. Still got some configuration changes to make. I want the triggers to do some things light-wise that they're not doing. That'll make what you got going on more clear. Whoops, we're gonna bang that, as Burr would say. We're banging that a little harder than I intended. Now, I don't know that this locomotive will pull all that up the hill. So I'm gonna pause it because I only want to take a couple of cars up there. Okay, apparently I have just a little bit of dirty track there. Now I know you guys can't see this, but you'd really have to be close to the turnout to be able to see it move anyway, right? And now we're going to line back for Martin, or for the main industrial spur. So when we come around the corner, we should push these two cars up the hill. I am so excited. I'm having to like calm myself right now because this is just fun. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Perfect. All right, now push the Martin button, and we should be able to roll this back. But I think what I'm going to do now is put this on the secondary storage track, which is the track that's that the single corn syrup car is sitting on. Actually, I don't know if you can see that from the single. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to hit the button for the second storage track, shift forward, and see if we end up where I want to be. And it looks like we are. Well, that's sweet like liquid sugar. Only this is a refrigerator car and a box car, but you know, what can I say? Okay, I thought I was going to call myself done with this demonstration, but I think I'm going to do one more thing. I still haven't fixed the power on that frog, so I'm going to have to make sure I got enough juice to get across it without it being a problem. So we're going to select the liquid sugar line and see if we can grab these 3 tank cars in the foreground here. Yeehaw, let's turn that down a little bit. I don't want to smash into the cars. Okay, come on. Of course. All right. Oh, it didn't hitch up. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I can't see, so otherwise I'd take more of a interest in that. Find out whether I got a coupler that's misbehaving or what. So right now there's no cars at Martin & Son. That's one thing that the operators will have to consider when they're operating this section, is whether there's a car there that needs to stay. But you know, real railroads have these kind of challenges as well, so there you go. It's part of the fun. Okay. Crank that power down. I don't want to drive the container, the tank cars into the river up here. Okay, we are clear. Only one turnout moves that time because the other two turnouts are already set in the right direction. Okay, we're going to stop. I'm going to line that switch for the siding. I do the wrong one. I did. There we go. Yeah, I got to make it more clear what I'm doing. So then we're going to move these cars forward and put them with the outgoing. Ooh, that's going to be close. Okay, cool. After all the work on the layout command control system that Brian and I did, I really wanted to demo switching the Satsop Industrial Park. And I started to do so with this really nice Rapido SW1200 BN number 165. Has a really cool beacon, sounds great. But as I did so, I was reminded that there is a ton of momentum programmed into this engine. And I did a quick look and discovered that I didn't immediately find how to diminish that. So I had to do more work on it later. But anyway, I ended up switching this locomotive out for a different one and starting to shoot this sequence all over again. Another thing that quickly became apparent was that I had left the original couplers on this unit, and those don't respond to my rare earth magnets that I have between the rails. So it made it so I had to use an uncoupling pick, which is a bit of a stretch all the way back on this part of the railroad, which is like one of the deepest parts of the railroad. I downloaded and dug into the manual for the ESU Loc Sound 5 decoder that's in this model. Then, upon finding that CV3 and CV4 control acceleration and deceleration, I set them both to 0. I wanted to see just how that felt. After a quick trial on that, I think I'm going to do it to the other SW1200s that I have from the same run. Some guys really like momentum. Some guys really hate momentum. For me, it depends on the thing that I'm doing. If I'm doing switching, I don't like it at all. If I'm running a road train, then, some momentum is okay. Because I was getting annoyed with the momentum in the Rapido, I went ahead and switched out that SW1200 for this Broadway Limited SP&S locomotive. This is a SW9 model, number 43. It was probably produced, 15 years ago or something like that, and I got it at a show. It's got a Paragon 2 system in it. That sounds pretty good, and it doesn't have all of the features that the other one does, but it works well for switching. And if you hear the sound drop out right here, well, that's a really good representation of what my friend Burr would call reality model railroading. I probably need to clean the track back there. I need to get that blue grain car and the black corn syrup tank car off the end of this cut of cars. So I shove them back onto the inner main, and then I'm going to uncouple and leave them there. I started to do this the other day and then discovered that the turnout wasn't working. And then I discovered that one of my solder connections had popped loose on the tortoise under the layout there. Well, anyway, got that fixed. So now I can proceed with this part of the switching. From this point on, you'll notice that the caboose isn't attached to the locomotive. I left it in the siding with the cut of cars. I was thinking that operationally, it doesn't really matter at this point whether I have it on there or not, since I'm just shoving cars around in the same area. The engineer and conductor were wondering why that truck with the camper hadn't gone yet, when they looked over and realized the father and son were eating ice cream and waving as they went by. And now they want ice cream. And of course, right about here is when that grain hopper decided to pick that switch, cause a derailment and a short. So let's try this again and find out if I've got an issue here. The grain facility here is just a stand-in for a future replacement. That may take years to get to, but in the meantime, people have an idea where the cars need to go. Looks like we made it this time, so either that's a fluke or this time I got lucky. I don't know. Now that we've finished with that grain car, we're going to move this liquid sugar tank car over to the liquid sugar delivery part. That's the second track from the back at the left side of the Olympic Foods facility. The next track closer to the front is a storage or transload track. So that's why I have that tanker truck parked over here that you'll see in a minute. Well, I hope you all enjoyed episode number 92. I hope to talk to you all again soon, and maybe I'll even see you at the upcoming Linden Lions Train Show the first weekend in October, or maybe at the Boeing swap meet in November. At any rate, I hope you all take care, and I'll talk to you later.